Alrighty, haven't done a Unity tutorial for a while. Let me give you a look at something here. Okay, let's start this Unity program. Okay, so this is Touch Animator. It's a animation program I'm doing for tablets, for example, like the iPad, and for the Android tablets possibly. The idea is that it's going to be something where you can just animate a character. For example, this character here. You can animate this character, and just by touching on certain parts of, just tapping on certain parts of the body, and then just using these manipulator icons here, you'll be able to just drag the body parts around just with your finger and whatnot. So that's what I've been working on. Of course, I can't really show you that here because this is a computer screen on a touch device. But it's something I'm working on in the background. We'll see how it goes. But what this tutorial is about, actually, I want to show you how, down at the bottom here, you'll see I have a slider. If I drag this slider back and forth, you will see that I have, it's like a frame slider. So, for example, if you have Blender or Lightwave or Maya, usually they have a little time slider down at the bottom. So I'm going to show you not just how to create this slider, but how to customize the look of it. So let's take a look at the script to make the slider. So I've got a script here. I'm just going to enable it, re-enable it here. I already dragged it onto there. So this is a nice thing if you didn't know that just these checkboxes on and off, you can go ahead and enable and disable different scripts so you can easily test them. So I have this script here called HSliderTest. I'll bring up and here's the actual script itself. You can see here it's just a few lines of code. I'll get into this code in just a second. So let's take a look at it here. So now that I've enabled that slider, you can see that that is the default look of the slider. Alright, so you just drag it back and forth, and there it is. Okay, so let's take a look at the code that goes into that. Alright, so pretty much what you have here is just basically, in order to enable the slider, you have basically two lines of code. You have one line of code that tells you the slider value. You have a variable for the slider value. It needs to be a float type of object. And then you just have, inside of your onGui function, you have a line that says, for example, HSliderValue, meaning the slider value variable you've already created, equals, and then you just say GUI.HorizontalSlider, and then you have these parameters. So let's go through the parameters. In this case, you have a rect parameter, a rectangle, so you just create your rectangle either as a different variable or inside of here. So you have your rectangle, which defines the X and Y coordinates and the width and the height of the slider. Then you have the HSliderValue, that HSliderValue variable, held there as the next parameter. And then finally you have your minimum and your maximum values. Okay, so for example, this is going to go from 0.0 to 100. So maybe you want this just to go to 90, or you want to go 250, whatever, and you want to start at 10, for example. It doesn't matter. So basically, your minimum and your maximum. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Again, you just create a slider variable. You say slider variable equals, and then here's basically your code. You just basically just move these variables around to whatever you need. The thing that takes a bit more, as you can see here in this script, let me disable that again. You can see here that actually, let me re-enable it. Okay, so you can see that my slider looks very different. Okay, for one thing, I've got a different Gui Skin that I downloaded off of the Unity website, and this is actually a kind of a throwback to the old Amiga skin. So anyway, that's one thing. But the other thing is the default width and height of the slider and the knob has changed. So I'll show you how to do that. What you do is you go in, you create a skin, or you take a skin that's already made, a Gui skin. If you've seen my tutorials before, I've already done something similar to this in a prior tutorial. I've shown you, you can either do that, or you go into, let's see, I believe it is component, wait, assets. Yes, assets create Gui Skin. So you can create your own, or you can use one that's predefined. For example, this Amiga 500 Gui Skin, I downloaded off of there. And then if you go under, if you tap on the Gui Skin and then go into the settings here, you'll see that there's an entire section here for the horizontal slider, and there's also a section for the horizontal slider thumb. All right. Now what you can do here is you can change different things. You can change, for example, the background that goes on that slider, and you can change also what they call the content offset. So if you want to change the height of the slider, the content offset fixed height is where you do that. And the same thing for the slider thumbnail or thumb button. What you do is you go in here and you can change, under normal, you can change the look of the button with a different graphic, and also under the content offset you can change the width and the height of that slider. So as you can see, once more, the top slider is the default version, and the bottom one is the one that has the new GUI elements edited. And as I've shown you in the past how to use the GUI skins, you just go in, you create the GUI skin, you create a variable for it, and then let's see here. I've got my GUI skin somewhere. It's hold on just a sec here. Bring it up to the top here. Okay, so you say GUI.skin equals, for example, my skin, the variable whatever, my skin. So that's pretty much how to create a slider and how to manipulate it and have it look a certain way. Hope that helps you out.